so I started the recording. Okay, so we actually don't really have an agenda because the agenda was the foundation of the registered association for Forge Lines Forever. So
So
maybe I'm
let's
just
ask Brutus about it. So Brutus, tell us something. Oh, he's not here.
yeah. I think he needs to watch his he needs to watch his kid. So yes,
Okay.
he's I mean,
So
he warned us he might not be there. So I hope you read. That's actually the wrong document I'm showing on screen, but I hope you read the document so you know what we're talking about. So the issue was there was a lot of discussion because Brutus actually made this news post that we wanted to found a registered association for FAF, and some people got a little mad and thought Brutus or whoever wanted to take over FAF and stuff, and well, it was kind of a little weird, and we only had the association rule in German, which kind of made weird conspiracy theories. I don't know how we got there.
so it's actually Germans taking over and not Russians.
Yes.
Well, first the
yes.
Germans, then the Russians.
Oh,
Actually, yeah. Well,
The
So it's
history
double
repeats.
bad.
maybe I'm gonna talk a little about it. I hope you read the document so you know what we're talking about because in the past I heard a lot of weird arguments that kind of didn't make sense at all, right? Mainly probably because we never translated anything in English and people just came up with their own conspiracy theories about registered associations. So first point being, it's just going to be found and then there's nothing going to be to it. It's just going to be found. It's not like everything is transferred to it. That's like the second and third step, right? Like take over operation and then transfer the asset to the registered association, right? So first step is just founding it and nothing changes at all, right? It's just a registered association found. So yeah, but
I have a question in that regard.
yeah.
Like you mentioned, or Brutus mentioned, that you would like people to show up in person for founding the association, which is kind of hard at the current situation.
Yeah, I was gonna say that probably we're not gonna found it right now. So actually, I mean, we wanted to found it pretty soon somehow. I don't know, and then
Kinda too late now.
yeah, kind of too late. Now it's gonna take even more time. So this is actually like
Do we have to meet in person, or can we just do that via mail, like postal service? Mail.
yeah, that's a good question, which is which we didn't find anything on. I think in theory we would need to meet in person. In practice, you could probably do it via mail, but then it's not really sure how good that works out. I mean, nobody can prove that nobody was there, right? You know, but we probably actually wanted to meet in person, which is now going to be pretty hard. Also, registering the association is probably in Germany not going to be possible because, well, unless it's a urgent manner, they're probably not going to let you register your association, right? Because at least not like you go there in person and stuff. And I think right now it's bad. Yeah. So we're still doing this meeting because we need to get the discussion over, right? Because many people got really mad and requested for that meeting. Most of them are not here today, which is a little astonishing because
Morax just died.
yeah, Mark's just died.
So no
Still watching
excuse
his
for him.
stream. Okay.
Where is Morax?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's in the game.
Playing diversity.
Okay, let's
But his
pick.
replay is over, so let's ping.
Yeah, many.
Yeah, someone who is on the server, please ping him.
Yeah, so maybe again we want to found it. That's the first step. Nothing happens. Then probably second step would in theory be take over operational business, and then maybe if that ever happens, transfer the assets to the registered association. Yes. So we are open to any suggestions you may have about the association rule, which is in this document and is translated. Maybe somebody can post the link in the conference note channel. I think we have that, right?
Is it editable, or can I just post it? Don't want to post it and then someone just deletes everything.
I didn't give. I only have edit permissions to pair via mail. So you can actually, if you want to edit it, you can request with your email and then we do it, right? But you can post the link.
Okay. I just need to find the bloody agenda or conference text channel.
Maybe we removed it.
Never mind, I've got it.
But you can also post it publicly. I don't mind.
It's in the conference notes channel. I think it has restricted permissions regarding who can post in that channel, so people don't spam stupid questions.
Okay. So I think that's mainly most of what's the conference about. So you could actually make suggestions, ask questions about it. Especially the ones that were kind of skeptical against it. We can maybe...
Do we have an English version somewhere?
You don't? Yes. Yeah. I think that's what I wanted you to post, the English version, but...
Oh, then I posted the wrong one. Sorry.
Okay, well, I'm just gonna post it myself. Where's the conference? Ah, there, I found it. Oh yeah, I can actually also post in it. Yeah, so there we go. So that's the English version. You can ask questions about it. Maybe you can talk a little about the current development situation and the server issues and so on. Just pretty briefly, but I don't know. Does anybody have questions about the association or suggestions about it? Because that's what we are actually here for, right?
Or feedback?
No,
or
not really. Go ahead, Gio.
Gio, what did you want to say?
I didn't want to say anything.
Okay, then. Yeah, I kind of thought that would probably be a quick conference, right? But I don't know. I mean, people asked for it, right? Pretty intensely, so we did it, and now they don't turn up, which is pretty awkward. But I don't know. You can also ask anything else, right? And we're trying to figure it out. I don't know. What else can we say about? We can talk about the current situation with the API shutdown.
We shouldn't talk about that, Alex. Not now.
No. I didn't want to tell what the actual vulnerability was, but
It's just fixed soon, yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, well, there's a library that we use that's vulnerable, and until it's fixed, a lot of things are going to be broken, especially in the vault of the client, on the website. So everything you really experience these days, which doesn't work, it's mostly because of that, especially everything that's bound to statistics, because what everybody can see in the API, we restricted access to the player entities, so everything that has to do with players is kind of broken because they don't get delivered anymore. We actually Brutus fixed the website, so people can actually register again and Steam Link again, but a lot of things like, I know of reporting, clans, the whole vault, that's broken, and it will probably take some time. And then also the server issues. We had the Q&As, right? Maybe Escaholic wants to say something to it. I don't know.
Hi.
Hi.
I don't know. I think someone just deployed something else, right?
You mean if we deployed the new version of the server, or what?
Yeah, somehow I thought that happened, but I guess I don't know.
I think we didn't, but maybe after the conference, Brutus is gonna look into it. I
I
don't know.
deployed it 5 minutes ago
Oh, okay. So
after seeing people complain a lot and seeing the Grafana statistics, which basically show that over the past 3 to 4 hours, we've permanently had issues with people logging in.
yeah, I think it's whatever Escaholic version does, it's gonna be better than the current situation.
Yeah, good one. No. We'll see.
Yeah.
We could talk maybe a little bit about the team matchmaker.
Oh, sure.
Turning
So
into
what's
a
new?
Team Matchmaker conference now.
How long
I mean,
is
we
it
want
gonna
things to talk
take,
about, right?
GeoSearcher?
Well, we kind of ran out of topics, didn't we?
I have some questions about the Verein.
The registered
Okay,
association.
go ahead.
Okay, yeah, first, hello everyone. It's the first time I've been in the conference with you. I've been playing for a while and I've contributed some lines of code, but nothing too big yet. As for my questions, the first one would be, what is the goal of founding an association?
Well, so first of all, do you know what the current situation is?
Not exactly, and I've found it hard to find out what the current situation is.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
there's the Forged Alliance Forever LLC, but I don't know if that exists really or does anything.
It exists.
it doesn't do much, but it exists. It's owned by Visionik, and well, Visionik is actually he sometimes comes back, but he does certain things, probably paperwork, I don't know, he doesn't, but he actually wants to kind of opt out of Forged Alliance Forever, and that's kind of I think that's kind of like really old. I don't know when did he wanted to opt out? 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
I don't know, something like that. And well, but because of the lack of alternative, there's nothing yet. And well, maybe as the document states in the first line, there was some conflict and blah blah blah, whatever. At least Visionik actually supports the idea of founding such a registered association and transferring it there. Yeah, so but well, right now it's actually this thing goes on forever, right? But it's actually our turn to actually founding it, because that's kind of the first step, right? And we didn't even yet do it, and that's what we want to do. And as I said, there was discussion about it, and people complained and streamed, and I don't know, and that's why we're doing this here, right? To, I don't know, calm down people. Yeah, but first of all, it's just going to be founding it, and why we want to have it is because right now it kind of relies on one person. That's kind of Visionik, who also doesn't really want to be that person, as I got it. And it's incredibly hard to replace him, right? Because he owns the LLC, he can't just give it away, and it's all really complicated. And in the future, we had issues that the one that runs the thing, I don't know, he gets fed up like cPilot or whatever, and we want to make it democratic and be able to replace whoever runs the association, which kind of, I don't know, like if you're a contributor, that makes it safe for your what you contribute in is probably still gonna be there, whatever. It doesn't depend on one person. Also, it's more democratic, and then it also protects the one that actually runs it from legal charges. I mean, not if he does something illegal on purpose, that's not gonna protect him from that. But in some way, it actually protects the one that runs it and all the members from legal charges. That's like if you like read the benefits section of the document we posted in the conference notes, that's kind of what it says there.
Okay, so one could say it's mostly for legal reasons, not
really
structuring.
The LAC would do that as well. It's for having a democratic basis, for avoiding something what happened before, again with cPilot, or basically just avoiding some single entity or person being in charge of FA forever.
Well, there's still gonna be somebody in charge, right? But
somebody that where we have an emergency button to remove them if they do something that a large number of players or contributors don't agree with. That's basically the main intent. There is no intent to replace the council or anything. That might happen, but I don't think it's a good idea because the system seems to be somewhat working. And it's basically just to build some legal basis underneath it all so that in an emergency you would have the option to somehow get back control over FAF and not rely on the goodwill of a single person.
Yeah, so the changing the council or anything, that's like a separate discussion, right? That doesn't necessarily have to do with that. You can still have the council, you can change it, you can replace it, whatever, but that's a separate discussion because that doesn't come with the registered association.
Yeah. So just tell me, I'm gonna talk, but just tell me and just change my mic so if it doesn't, you can't hear me so well, or if there is some issues, just tell me. So it's just too bad that FTX is not here, since he was one of the guys that was the most how to say that in the words,
right,
debut, like not sure about this project,
right.
So I'm gonna try to explain a bit what was his what he had in mind, and kind of agree with him on some topics. So the idea that you propose, that I guess we are all agreeing that it should be done because we need transparency on how the funds are being used, and in general with the legal way of FAF being done in general. But we were worried about issues like if we make it so democratic in a way, it could be possible to have it being abused. That was one of the main issues. So we wanted to have some safe proposition to make it abuse proof. So one of the abuses we were thinking about is like some big groups just decide to opt in, pay the €12 or something that you need to be a member of the association. And if there are good, like if there is a good enough number of these guys, they are in the majority, and then they can just try to implement some rules like retarded ones or whatever, just to stop moderation or you know, something that would harm FAF, and they will just hold on in a way, and that would be damageable for FAF. So I think we all agree that it should happen, but we want some safety about issues like that, for example. So
yeah, so yeah, I mean, there's a paragraph, right? There's in the documents I linked on Zulip earlier, and now we posted in conference note. There's a paragraph that kind of covered that because I heard that a lot, right? Right, you can also read the association rule, but maybe it's a little much, and I'm just gonna say what's in this paragraph. So this paragraph is actually called "Help! Russians are gonna take over FAF e.V. and gonna ruin us." Well, that kind of things I heard a lot. Like, for example, I don't know, we had Super, right, and he did some hacks on FAF and caused a lot of pain. Yeah, so what if Super decides with his 50 friends to join FAF e.V. and kind of take over, right? Because it's democratic. So the first thing, actually, Super first needs 50 friends, like 50 real friends. You can't just make 50 accounts, you know? Because we can actually check if people exist, right? We have the right to. I think the most important thing you need to keep in mind is it takes ages. It might take ages if you apply, right? I mean, I don't know, what does it take? 2 months, right? Till you can actually join the registered association, right? Or to process your membership or something like this. It's not like a button you click and you're instantly member and you can't do anything about it. So if you actually notice that Super tries to join with other people, I mean, we're gonna ask people what their intent is to join the registered association. I mean, it's not really like we can actually not stop anybody from joining. I mean, we could actually write this into it. This is a discussion we can have. We can actually write into the rules. We can decide whoever joins. We can actually do that. But that's also not what we want, right? Because we want it to be base democratic, and we don't want the option for anybody to keep people joining, right? Because we believe that's not the right thing to do, because then it's not democratic anymore. So first of all, we have this membership fee. We wouldn't need it. I mean, there's also a paragraph on the membership fee. Actually, members can decide on the membership fee, right, in the assembly. So we kind of think of 12 euros, but we could also make it 100 euros if you really want to. But I wouldn't want to, because that's also kind of not democratic, because everybody that cares about FAF should join. That's the idea about it. And I think really, if Super and his 50 friends join, we are really gonna notice. And I'm pretty certain there are enough people there to overrule Super and his 50 friends. And
so your proposal is that if you see that Super and his 50 friends are going and trying to get in, then we need to make sure that, like, we need to call to do a hashtag everyone on Zulip, and to ask more people to join, and to make the counterbalance. That's pretty much the idea.
That's kind of the idea, but I mean, I'm really not sure how Super is gonna organize 50 people to actually. You actually also need to.
I don't know.
You need to write a letter, right? You will need to probably write a letter. Then you need to. Then you need to.
How much you was determined. So, like, it's possible. Everything is possible. So that's why we are trying to make sure anything like this could happen, and just being safe in general. So.
The second thing is, if it should ever happen, I don't think that it should. They would still need to stick to the rules, right? So they can't.
Do you mind if I ask?
No.
Yeah.
Majority, they can change the statutes of the association, but not the purpose of this.
With 3/4.
Or 3/4. Anyways, Alex, all your answers to that question so far, and as I've seen from your answers elsewhere, as well as in the document, have been pretty much summed up by, it's not going to happen, it's probably not an issue. What about actually trying to build a mechanism that prohibits something like that? At the moment, we have that paragraph in there that the board of directors, or the board of director probably, can just like decide not to accept an application. What if instead we process those applications each time we have like a general assembly every few months, because there's no need to get people in there quickly, and we in the general assembly just let people in that we know that have been doing some contributions to the project.
Yeah, but that's not what we wanted.
A bit like Zulip? A bit like Zulip then? Because on Zulip we let a lot of people in, but usually you want to have just make sure that people joining in and just are not trolls or something like this.
Okay.
So
yes, in Zulip
kind
it's
of like that.
to get in. But my suggestion was basically having everybody that is already in a general assembly except new people, because at the moment it's just the board of directors can do what they want.
No, they can't do what they want. It at the moment it says if there are reasonable questions on whether the identity of the person is correct or not, it says they can issue a video call and they can say no. And if they say, well, you need to understand they can say no anyway. So if really Super and his 50 friends are gonna join and we can actually abuse this, right? We can just say no.
Hey Axel, do you mind if I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
There's probably going to be a number of people interested in joining the association right off the bat. How are we going to select who joins first over other people? Like, how are we prioritizing that?
It doesn't matter, right?
Yes, of course
first.
It does.
Priority at all?
Did you read the paper?
Like, just
I'm sorry, but did you read it?
That's. I've read over pieces of it. I just got convinced to join, so excuse me. But no, he's talking to me.
No, but when we found it, it has no purpose, right? It doesn't automatically own the servers. It doesn't automatically run FUF. So actually we can all join and then we can make it do things. We can transfer assets, we can make it run operational business, and so until it actually got the assets, there's nothing it can really do, you know? So first of all, it's just founding, and then you can all join if you want to, right? But till actually somebody transferred the assets to this association, it has, you don't need to fear that the 7 people that found it are not gonna let anybody in, because once it's founded and probably 1 year after, this association is just gonna, well, do nothing, maybe donate money to FUF, or I don't know, found a server or something like that, but it's not gonna own FUF.
Where does it say in this document why it doesn't matter who?
Because we don't
first?
automatically get power over FUF. FUF
No.
still belongs to the FUF FA Forever LLC, and until the assets are transferred, nothing is going to change.
So,
but
It will change as soon as Visionik decides to change it.
but we need to
Which
found
exactly
it
the
first,
situation
because
avoid.
I mean, Visionik said he liked the idea and he wants to support us, but we didn't even found the association. So what are we talking about? And what we want is founding it, right? That's what we're talking about right now. But it doesn't mean it takes over FUF. Like the steps, which
no,
we
but
imagine.
if you found it, you need to think about it like a bit later. So don't just rush into founding it and
Yeah.
no brainer. I mean,
know.
we need to see what's going to happen afterwards. So okay, that we kind of all agree on founding it, but we need to think, should we authorize the member, like the association, to have some rules, being able to change the rules on the moderation? I think not, for example, but I think also that if the way you present it, the association has the rule to change everything and anything. It's in the constitution of it. So like you can even change the constitution if you are like 3/4 of the members voting to change the constitution. So that's a bit of the issue. Like I like the idea of the association, but it should be mainly focused on what Gio wrote. So it's like managing the funds and the and being legally in charge. But if it has the possibility to change the rules of moderation or whatever, then it's kind of conflicting in a way, I feel like.
It needs to. Moderation is, well, it shouldn't, you know, I don't know. You can't, the FUF LLC, if Visionik turns up and says, I'm gonna fire you as a moderator, well, that's what's gonna happen. That's what every association, if you make an association, be legally in charge, it's gonna be in charge. I mean, it's not like the association should really, you know, like once the assets are, like, okay, again, so first of all, we're gonna found it, then it might take operational business, and then it might get the assets transferred, and only and after the assets are transferred, it's kind of really in charge, right? Because before that, it's kind of just exists to assist FAF. And then, of course, the plan is for it to kind of take over someday, but who knows how complex that is gonna be. Probably Visionik needs to speak to the lawyer and whatever, maybe Visionik also decides otherwise, I don't know, but first of all, we want to found it. And you're right. Of course, we need to talk about it because once we found it, it gets harder to change, right? It gets harder to change. You need this 3/4 majority, right? And what you also need is you also need to go there again to the registry and hand in the new paper, right? The new version of it. And so it gets harder. So you're right, we should discuss, like, for example, which members we actually want to allow to become members. That's something we should discuss, and we really should. And there's also no wrong and right. It's kind of a matter of preferences. But what I wanted to say is in which order people join doesn't matter at all, because if it's founded, after it's founded, everybody can join, and it you know, you can all join, and it's gonna take a year or something till the SSR turns forward anyway. So you don't need to worry that the 7 people that founded are gonna make it their own, right? This is kind of, this doesn't really make too much sense, because the minute it's founded, it doesn't have anything, right? And then people join, and then assets are transferred or whatever. So yeah, it's not gonna be that in which order people join is completely irrelevant. And founding members have no other right than anybody else, right? So it's not like founding members have special privileges or whatever, or, you know, right?
Get an avatar.
Yeah. Maybe they do.
It's not like avatars are worth anything anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, we should maybe discuss who we want to be able to join this association, but in general, it's my personal opinion. FAF is a community, and as
so
such.
I'm not sure what was the answer then? You were proposing that you like when it's all funded and the first members are in, they will then have like every 6 months or whatever, we'll review who wants to apply to be another member of the association, and they will decide on if they take it or not. That was the idea.
The idea was you can join at any point, actually, if that's also in the translation. So you can actually join at any point. You need to make an application, and board of, what was it? I'm not sure the English translation, but the head, right, accepts the application. But he's only allowed like the current version. But really, this is discussable, and I think we're all happy to discuss this, because there's no wrong or right. It's really a matter of preference. The version right now that's also translated, it states that the head can only reject an application if there's reasonable doubt about the identity or the correctness of what the applicant wrote or said, you know.
Why does it have
If
to
we
be unanimous?
this assurance, then I'm all good for it. If we have this assurance, like this, what you just said, if it's true, then I'm all good for this project. And
Yeah.
I think FTX would be also.
Marek said something. What did you say?
I just wanted to know why it has to be unanimous. Everybody has to vote no to an application. It's not. I don't have anything against it for it. I just wanted to know, because I'm reading over it right now in detail for the first time.
I don't know. It doesn't really need to matter. But there are 2 people in the board of what is it? The board of?
Just the board.
Yeah. Okay. There are 2 people in the board. It's the first chairman and what's the other one?
Treasurer.
The treasurer. And I don't know. They too need to say yes. No. I don't know. We can also change it. Only the first chairman needs to say no. That's really it's really up.
Still,
It just seems like a loophole to me. There's two people that decide all that, and it's like then there's democracy is kind of like gone.
no, these two people can be voted for every year, so you can switch these positions, and you only give this position to people who you trust.
And
I
those
mean,
two
but
people can let people in because they are responsible for deciding who is a member, who can then outvote the rest. The main issue here.
yeah, it's like there's two people that have an
So-
awful lot of power here.
And
Uh,
additionally, there's currently a paragraph in there which I'm terribly worried about because it basically allows the board to replace anybody inside of.
No, did you read the paragraph? It
I
says
did read
if
it. It says
if it violates the interest, if it
which paragraph is
blah 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 violates the interest of the association. So if he doesn't stick to the rules, they can be excluded. But you can't just exclude anybody. If you read it
which
closely-
paragraph is that?
Oh my god, I don't know.
It's number 3 in section 6. It just says the board members are elected by the general meeting for a period of 1 year. They
Oh,
remain
no,
in
I think-
office until.
I think he meant exclusion of members.
Yeah, I mean,
And I read it and translated it, so I
there
read
it
it
is.
a few times.
It's paragraph 4, subsection 3. A member can be expelled from the association at any time with immediate effect.
If he
by
or
resolution
she
of the board,
grossly
if he or-
violates.
Yeah, I'm not worried about that. Or for any other important reason. There is no legal definition of that. Any other important reason can mean anything. And it basically allows the board to expel anybody from the association.
Yeah, well, that's discussable, right?
You are basing your entire argumentation on goodwill from the board.
Well,
You're
this is-
saying something malicious will not happen, and that's not a solution to our problem.
Okay.
Especially this subsection
This
is
is copied.
really worrying to me.
Okay, so this is copied from mostly from templates, right? So this is mostly what you normally do, right? But okay, I mean, we can change it. It's no problem. I mean, it makes of course it maybe make it harder to exclude people. I don't know. What you need to keep in mind right here, this is actually legal binding, so you can actually sue the association or this document, right? The rules. You can actually sue.
Nobody's gonna sue FAF
Nobody's gonna sue, but you can
over
actually.
something like that, so
Yeah.
that's not worth it.
Okay, but I just said if you're worried anybody could I don't know violate your rights, I don't know, you can actually sue the association and then you're probably given right and they need to stick to it. So yes. Well, I'm not sure why I said that now. But well, we can I'm happy with that, I guess. I don't know about Brutus, but I'm happy we can rephrase it to something that makes it harder to exclude people. I mean, I'm not really worried about it, but if you are, I don't know, suggest a different wording and
Majority
I'm not saying
vote
that
of
it's
the
like-
entire association instead of just the board.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Just have the General Assembly decide things like that, excluding members, especially maybe even new joining members.
Okay, well, I guess
Good.
that's
I'm not expecting anything malicious to be happening in there, as you said. But if we don't expect anything malicious to happen, then why are we trying to replace the single person currently in charge of FAF and build it onto a more solid foundation?
okay. Well, I don't know about anybody else, but I'm happy with rewording it, and I think
Okay.
there's also no problem about it. And I think also the General Assembly voting out being able to exclude members is also. But I think it should also be only for important reason and stuff, because otherwise, once you
You
have
can
the
just make
majority,
it a
you can kick
two-step.
anybody out.
We can just make it a two-step procedure, like the board has to decide to kick someone out, and once they decide it, then the majority of the association has to agree on that.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really matter too much about.
I'm more
FAF
concerned
anyway.
about defining what the malicious activity is. Like somebody just all of a sudden doesn't have time to fill out the paperwork and get things in a timely manner, and then it prolongs.
That's
for a
not
certain amount of time.
malicious, that's just lazy.
No, but it
Well,
says
to
if
me
you...
that's malicious. Being lazy is not. I mean, if you can't take a step forward and say, "Hey, I don't have time to really do this," that's pretty bad.
Okay, well,
That's the whole
whatever.
point of this whole thing is that Shio's not available. And although he's not exactly being lazy, his unavailability is what's caused so many issues with us lately. So people not having a good response time to things is the main concern for this.
No, this wouldn't lead to an exclusion. I mean, you can be a member. There's a difference between being a member of the association and having a board member role. So the board members are in charge of dealing with paperwork and registrations and stuff like that. And if you are unhappy with their work, at the next assembly you can vote for somebody else to take over.
Don't need to exclude them.
But that's a whole year.
No.
Well, the members can make an extraordinary assembly happen if they want to.
If you have signatures from blah 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 % of the members, I don't know what it was exactly, you can make an extra assembly and you can actually overthrow whoever is in the board. So actually, at any point you can overthrow kind of the whole thing. So it's pretty base democratic. I think this exclusion thing doesn't really matter to FAF anyway, I guess, too much, because I think this is, I mean, of course we use templates because that's what you do, right? And mostly these registered associations are also like something like a football club. Like imagine some football teacher doing some bad things with a kid, right? You want to be able to exclude him from membership. And I mean, everybody, we can also just cross out exclusion because, I mean, who cares, right? Members don't have any privileges anyway with our constitution, right? It's not like they're allowed.
No, members have privileges. For example, to bring up topics in the assembly, and they can annoy people with that.
Okay, true. You actually have a point there. We should be able to exclude people because they have a right to be in the assembly.
So, but again, there's one thing that is not resolved, and I would like to discuss this with you guys, because I'm in favor of every person, every player to be able to join this association. But from what I've heard from you guys, you want to have only contributors in. Why?
Country what?
Contributors.
Contributors.
Or contributors.
Sorry.
I don't really care who joins the association, but I'm more caring of someone's understanding of issues and so they know what's going on. Like if somebody just joins FAF in like a month and they have no idea what's going on, it's like you have the issue with Mr. K who gave access to the Mordor client to people or something like that. That's my background in it. So if somebody understands how the community works, what the association does from a legal standpoint, that's more my concerns is really want to have someone who's got at least this much experience and understands the issues.
But that's what we're doing this for, right? I mean, the council is not really part of this, and it shouldn't be part of the association's rule, because if you someday want to change how the council is done, you always need to go to the registry and rewrite the constitution. It kind of doesn't make sense, right?
It's just an example. I'm not saying we should follow the
yeah, but I think
council. It's just
it's kind of a bad example because if someone joins the community and wants to do stuff, then he would probably go to the council and someone who's actively doing stuff right now and not go to whoever, I don't know, does the legal stuff with the server and asks him to join the association or the board or whatever and do paperwork there.
I mean, I guess that's kind of my lack of knowledge of what the application process is and what's going to be known about said people beforehand that's making me nervous. It's just that doesn't appear to be outlined in this document. Like, what is the application? How much do people like? What is the financial background check? What is the? Have you been like involved in a legal activity check or something like that? Like, I know it's going to block anybody from getting sued and stuff, but like, what kind of qualifications are you specifically looking for someone to join?
None.
I see. That's my problem. I think there should be at least a little.
Yeah. So, well, this is
why.
Like, yeah.
Let's say we have 200,000 registered accounts, and let's say 100 of them join the association because they care about FAF. So then you would have like a base load of players that care about FAF. So what's the point?
I mean, caring about FAF and being experienced in handling legal matters and
but
running
as a
server
member, you
well-
don't need to care about legal stuff. You need to vote for somebody who's in the board who does this legal stuff, and you can vote for that every year. And there can be multiple candidates. Yeah, it doesn't have to be the same person forever. And that's basically the point. We said we don't want to have the same person forever. The point, for example, with the current situation is Shiu is a board member of this LLC. He doesn't have time, but also nobody can take over because running this LLC, there's nobody who knows the paperwork and stuff like that. But the German Registers Association is simplified for regular people to be able to run it yourself. So there are a lot of German guys who could do it. I know it's stupid because it's German again, but you have that problem in any language. But it's supposed to be simple, the legal stuff.
Honestly, like I don't care if it's all German people or anything like that anymore, as long as it's good, responsible people that take this serious. And that's just something I can't read here. It's not that I don't believe you don't think that that's going to be in the best interest of people. I just don't see it written here exactly how it's going to happen. I'm not saying any of you are going to. It's not going to. I just don't see it written here thoroughly.
But you can replace the head.
Good.
You can replace the head. You can vote for it. So you can make sure somebody that is responsible, that is caring, that is actually reacting, and I don't know, reading Zulip. I don't know, whatever qualities you might ask of somebody that runs the thingy have, but you have the possibility at any given moment to replace him if you have a majority of members behind you.
Right. So if somebody doesn't show up to their job, they're likely not going to keep it. That's kind of the philosophy I'm running with here. Maybe I'm running it right, but as Philip said, it's not malicious activity. It's just being lazy.
Yeah.
But to me, it's like
we can't write in there if you don't do your job. You can, if the board whatever. That's not something you can legally write. You have to write to if the impression of the community is that he is not doing his job, that he should be replaced, then you can at any given time vote him out. That's the mechanism behind it. But you can't write if he doesn't do his job. He's gonna lose the head. I don't know, and you also need to replace him then, right? So it's just at any given time, if you have the majority, you can actually make a vote on the head.
I mean, I'm asking a counter question here. Is there any other form of legal entity who would solve that issue? I don't think there is.
And also this defining legally if somebody doesn't, so what means doesn't do his job? I mean, Shio probably fills out the tax reports, I don't know, whatever, the paperwork, so he kind of does. He's just not too responsive. I think that's what you criticize here, right? If I got you correct, and you or whoever, it doesn't need to be Shio also kind of does a great job and did a lot for FAF, but I don't know whatever is had, and he doesn't match your imagination of him. Like he doesn't respond to you on Zulip. He doesn't do things he's supposed to do, right? You want him to be removed, and well, that's how you get it, right? Via vote. But I don't really think you can really legally write that into there. That's not really gonna work out. I mean, you can't write if he doesn't respond to me on Zulip, we're gonna exclude him, right? So I think our best shot is this voting thing.
Do you mind if I just ask like a general question, like what happens in Germany? Like, let's say somebody, like, I don't know if this is related, but I'm just looking for the correct wording. Like, if somebody just doesn't show up to work like very much and is always tardy or just calls in too much or something like that in Germany, like,
if you don't show up to work, then that's a reason to get fired.
Okay, that's what I'm looking for right now. So, I mean, I know this is just an association. It's not like a real. Well, I mean, it is kind of like an entity at this point if we're talking this way. So, like, I don't understand why you can't write that in here if that's true. Where you guys are.
Well,
from.
you don't really have to write it in there. If we are not happy with the guy who runs this or who is in the board, then we can just make an assembly and just vote him out immediately or very soon.
I mean, it's it's not the problem of writing it in. I mean, this is a legal document, so you would need to state the reasons why this happens, which is less of a problem. But the main reason is then what is supposed to happen then. And the result would be still you need a new board. And that means you need to vote anyway. So, I mean, there's no... Well, what would be your fallback proposition?
Okay, so we all agree that's an issue right there, and the board will reflect that right there, but it seems like it's so open as to what they can vote somebody out for. Like, let's say if like somebody just doesn't like, I mean, just use whatever quarrel XYZ or whatever we've encountered while talking in Zulip or something, and they somehow make it there, but it has nothing to do with the paperwork or something like that. Like, what's to stop that from happening?
What?
I'm just saying, like,
it's
where
not
do-
going
where do
to
you-
happen. It's the same way it doesn't happen right now. I mean, nobody is I don't know, quarreling with Visionik, and he's throwing us under the bus, and it's going to be the same with the association.
I mean, I don't have like a perfect example to give there, but where's the line in the sand going to be drawn? Like, you can't vote somebody out because they're doing this or that or something. Like, where's some exclusions or something? I know there's infinity billion possibilities, but shouldn't we at least try to define some?
But you don't need to exclude people if we don't want to. Just let's.
No,
say
I'm not
you're-
saying exclude people.
Yeah,
I'm saying like
Yeah.
exclude reasons to eject them from the association or the board.
But you
mean
don't need
not the
people to-
association, the board. You mean like the first chairman? Probably you wanna be able to eject him. Yeah, you need to vote on somebody new anyway. So make an assembly, make a vote, and if he gets voted again, well then probably something is wrong. Like maybe you see him being lazy, but other people don't. So I don't know. So voting is really the only option, right? I mean, what else? I still can't see how you do it otherwise. Like, if he doesn't turn up to work, I don't know. He gets excluded.
I mean,
and then
I
he
don't
gets
know, like,
replayed.
You have every government has different rules. Every company has rules as to when somebody's disciplined, or if they're the opposite of that, if they're doing a good job and they get more responsibility or something. Not that that's the case here, but everybody has different reasons and metrics to measure how something happens, and that comes with time. You don't just define it right away, but if you don't try and define it, it's just chaos.
It's like the. I don't know. It's like the.
Again, I'm asking, like, what do you think should happen if this case happens? So there's somebody not showing up. What would you like to happen then automatically?
It's not just the not showing up. That I know that's been the example I've been using the whole time, but it's just anything, everything just is. It's just not defined.
Yeah.
And that's I can't
Well,
debate
just
anything
stick
because I
with
don't
the
know.
example. Doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
what
the example
example
is fine. The question is, what do you want to happen next? Now you want to replace him, right?
I mean, I don't really know like what happens if that person should be voted out or not. Like there's lots of things that I do in real life and things I do as M&M that I don't necessarily like, but I do it because people like it that way. But it's so loosely defined as to what you can and cannot do or something. It's not even funny. And like for me, like just I try to follow the rules at work and stuff. Sometimes I don't like it, but you know, it's just what you do. There's always going to be bickering and questions about why things are the way they are. But I have never been part of any organization or anything where they don't like at least try and define some things in detail with example. That's all I'm saying.
Well,
Just going over your head still. Sorry.
The head has responsibilities. They are stated in the document. If he doesn't match those, I don't know. You can sue him
And or replace him.
or
That's-
replace him.
Yeah, you can sue him and replace him, or you can sue him or replace him. Just.
I don't know.
I mean, again, we are talking about you propose somebody at the General Assembly. People vote for that guy, and if that guy is a dickhead, you can replace him in a regular interval in the next year. And if
even
that's not
earlier.
enough, you can do it in intermediate ways. So, what's the issue here? I mean, the question on how do you measure his success is completely out of the question here, because the association has no definition of success. There's no point in having success.
I guess, I mean, I would have, this is, like, I'm not saying anything is exactly wrong or going to be done wrong, it's just that I don't know. So what trying to do here is say, what is the paperwork and stuff, or the processings that's going to happen with the association? Like, I don't know what the legal entity has to do to keep the association afloat. Like, what do you have to do? Like, you get everything set up and whatnot. Every single year you have these meetings, yada yada. You talk about possible issues and stuff. But like, what's the requirements of these members? Like, what are they going to have to hand into the German government to keep it going well? Is that defined in here?
No, that's defined in German law already.
Okay, so
but we can sum this up if you want to have this information. I get your point now. So there's a lot of
there you go.
Stuff implied by the nature of this legal entity that is falling under law. So like for example, there are rules like if you have like this annually general assembly, the board has to invite everybody. I think it's like 4 weeks beforehand so that everybody can participate. There's the rule that the board has to hand out an agenda in this invite, and each point of this agenda has to be discussed at the assembly, and there has to be a guy who's writing a protocol, and the protocol has to be handed out after the assembly. So there's a lot of stuff that is implied. But that's why we didn't write it into the constitution.
Well,
but we can sum this up for you.
Most of it actually is also in the constitution. I mean, writing the notes. What else did you say?
I think the finances need to be checked as well by people who are
the invitation,
in the association.
That's all in there. I mean, it's also we are also obliged to do it by law, but it also is stated again in the association rules. So maybe not everything, but most of it, like how it is done in this registered association. You can also find parts of it there. But that's, I mean, the responsibilities of the chairman are defined there, and it's in German law, and you could possibly sue somebody if he doesn't meet his responsibilities, but really probably replacing him is the nicer option. I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, from my point of view, like, I mean, Brutus, have you bought a home? Do you own a home in Germany?
Yes.
So the legal proceedings with purchasing property is pretty stringent no matter where you live in the world. I'm sure you had to have all kind of like government audits and inspections and paperwork to ensure that you're getting a good faith like piece of property from the seller, correct?
Yes.
So that's kind of what I'm looking for here. It's like, what paperwork are people going to have to go for? So I'd really have to get some translation and talk to someone in more depth, probably a separate meeting, because there's a lot of people to do that. And just know like if like say like I don't know about you, but for me it's like I'm in the middle of buying a place. I don't know if I'm actually going to go through with it because of all the shit going on, but like I have about 5 days to get my own like inspection through the fire department to make sure all the fire detection equipment's correct. It's just things like that. Like I have no idea like what the German government's going to require for this. So how do we know that somebody is going to do this all well and everything like that? Yes, we can say that, you know, people will be responsible, but I'm just more interested in exactly what's going to happen. I don't really think that it's good or bad what's happening here. I'm just educating myself at this point, so I'm pretty well obliged to think that you guys are going to be good with this.
I mean, I can write this down in English, so you have a basic understanding of what the regular flow is. But I can tell you already, this form of legal entity is specifically made for simple things, for simple people without law background to be run. And this is a most common legal form used in Germany for every kind of sports club and everything. And it is run by thousands and 10,000s of people every day, so it can't be that difficult. And I'm already in some of these associations, so I know a lot of stuff on that already. But yeah, I will sum it up.
I mean,
Okay, yeah, no, that's great. I mean, I did that like when I was at university. I did like a paintball team or something like that, and like there wasn't that much with it and stuff. But you still got to know what happens there. I mean, it's probably going to be pretty much more simple than I'm imagining in my head. But it would be very nice to see what those are, just so we can discuss that. That's all I'd really like to see.
So yeah, and the other thing I would point out, like basically you could go basically without a constitution, and then then the general law applies, but you also have the ability to override the general rule with your own rules, like we talked about exclusion stuff or application stuff. So we have the chance to change it a little bit as how we want things to run. But again, if you don't define it, there's always a fallback already defined in the law. So if you, let's say, forgets about something, it will be covered already.
But we, for example, want online conferences, and the default is not that, right? For example.
Yes.
And yeah, also, you of course do good voting somebody that is qualified for actually running such an association, maybe. So.
Yeah, I mean, in the application, you should be able to tell pretty quick. Like, I don't know how big the applications be, but will there be like, is there like an example one that's gonna be translated where you can look at? Is it a general form for all associations and?
You mean the application? No, but members, you need to understand, members, they don't really have privileges apart from voting on the conference. So you don't need the members to be in any way qualified, right? Because they only need to cast their vote. I wanted to say you do good as a member voting for a head that is qualified, but I think that's kind of common sense, right? If you apply as a first chairman or a head, you in your application you probably talk about why you're also qualified for it, and yeah, that you know what to do, right? So I don't know. I mean, everybody can get first chairman, but we probably do good only voting people that know what they're doing. But I think that's kind of common sense, right?
Yeah, I mean, just don't be surprised at what people won't have that common sense. I don't have as much reservations as some other people do about who's going to get on this and do some things, because I think I mean, if things happen with it right there and it gets sneaky like that, I don't know what else to say. I really like having a hard time. Like, you have to forgive me. My mind's like through for such a loop with everything. I just want to join in for a bit and just kind of give my questions and words on things. So I don't know. I don't see myself really finding a better option than this right now. And you guys, I think you've done pretty well so far with everything. So I'll see the examples, and if I see anything that looks really crazy, but based on what Brutus just told me, it's a very low key, like a government organization. So it's, I guess, keep it up and just keep writing and let me know the info. Like, I think it's more people are scared of, well, not necessarily scared, but just more lacking the information right there, because it's difficult to be like, oh, this is going to be a German only thing.
To be honest, I think barely anyone is going to join, because it requires effort to join, and there is basically no benefit aside from being able to vote on the head every once in a while, and the head doesn't really do anything interesting, so I don't think a lot of people will.
It's a question on what you want to do there in the long run. If I would take an existing association as an example, I would use Debian project. They have around about 1,500 members or something like that, and they vote every. They vote an additional role apart from the legal stuff as a guy who's in charge of the project, of the software project, and basically they have a few candidates who then come up with how they would run things. Yeah, and we could do the same thing in the future, but we don't need to, and we can still discuss in the future how we want to do this. Like, we can get more open if we want to in the future.
That's why we don't write down the Council of Cetans into this document, for example. You know, like, we can also vote these councillor positions for sure. I mean, we already kind of do, right? But these kind of things, they're they're apart from the legal stuff.
Well, voting on them inside the association doesn't make a whole lot of sense because users are already signed up with an FA Forever account, and it's easier for them to just vote with that instead of signing up for the association and then voting on council positions.
Yes.
It's just
But-
way too much paper.
But maybe for development related roles, for example, maybe the development council or something like that.
I
maybe
think-
that's kind
I think
Yeah,
once I
but
see
that's
some
better.
examples from Brutus about the level of paperwork and stuff, that'll put me at ease with everything. It's just nice to kind of see how things flow.
Yeah. Okay, maybe one last
I
thing.
mean, I think a little. I think like what Gio said earlier, a little more definition in some things. Like they don't sound so great as defined there. So maybe just tweak that as it goes along, so you can put at ease like comfort issues with folks, and then I think it should be good to go. Like I mean, again, I'm not going to speak for everyone on this. I don't even know if I really have a say as far as it goes. But it's probably not the best time for me to be talking about these things.
Okay. One last thing. Let's come back. I wanna kind of draw a conclusion on the how should be able to join as a member, right? In the association. I mean, maybe you can even make a small vote, not like a vote that's like kind of binding, just to see what people think.
What do you require of someone to join? Does it just have to be an email, or does he need to send a copy of his passport?
You can define it yourself. So basically, in a regular sports club,
Yeah,
you just
I know that we can
name
define it, but what's your
Yeah.
idea of?
Well, I mean, we want to be, at least that's my wish, I want to be able to have international members, so we can have US members, or East European, Asian, whatever. So I think a letter would not be the best way to do it.
Well, I think that's the way it's written right now, because I think I wrote that because I thought let's keep jerks out of it. Like, I don't know, if you're not willing to write a letter, go to the post office and send it, then you probably don't care. That's what I thought, but well.
So
That was
my proposition.
idea.
So my proposition would be like, send me an email, give me your FAF account, so I can at least, let's say, check who you are, and like if you have a bad reputation and stuff like that. And yeah, so we could. The point is, like we said, if we notice that there's a lot of users joining in a suspicious way, we could ask for their ID verification. But in a regular basis, I wouldn't want to check that. So it should be the whole effort should be, send me an email, give me your FAF name. I will maybe send you an email via FAF to confirm that you actually applied, and then you confirm that once more, and then you're in, and then you have to pay the membership fee. And if you don't do that, you will get kicked out again, because then you are obviously a fake account.
I'd like to suggest that we have that process as transparent as we can. So like, I mean, the open application doesn't need to be posted somewhere, but the result or the decision should be public. And the list of members should be as well, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, sure. Definitely. Also, I would like to make finances completely transparent, but realistically, it's pretty hard to be like hand out a live stream of finances, but at least give a quarterly report or something. So yeah, my basic wish would be to be as transparent as possible.
I'm not sure if posting the members. I mean,
you don't have to post
the real
names. It's
no.
That's not what I'm. Yeah, FAF usernames.
No, you can post them, but only in a place accessible to all the other members. So it's to data protection. It's open for every member.
That's I don't know.
Yeah, but I think you have a right to see that list. I need to check, but I think you have a right to see that list. But we could say just the FAF usernames.
Yeah, that would be better.
But on the other hand, is your in theory also allowed to join without the FAF username.
Yes, and I say please.
Well,
create
then
FAF
we can't
account
post a
first.
FAF username. Then we have to post your real name.
Yeah.
That's
No, I mean,
bad luck, I
but
guess.
I would ask that person, like, why would you want to join without a FAF user account? That wouldn't make any sense, right?
Very good.
Yeah.
And
And
then
we could write this into the constitution, but that's the thing with writing stuff into the constitution is pretty hard. So we copied stuff from templates to be safe on the, let's say, on this law language, because if you do stupid things there are always some people who love to sue other people for fun, and I would like to avoid this. So we need to check how we can make this bulletproof.
Yeah, so I think these are all probably things we can do, right? Yeah, there are all probably things we can do. Check their FAF usernames, blah blah blah. If anybody ever really wants to sue us, we can also Ruder back. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, also the other thing is too is like how much money can they really make out of it? Is it worthwhile to sue us?
Not really.
No, it's not about making money out of it. In Germany, you wouldn't get any money out of it. It's basically just to annoy the board members. It's a regular thing that happens in some German associations.
Oh,
so I don't like
really?
the guy in the board. That's why I point out everything he does wrong and sue him for that. This usually happens in these small
Like
gardening communities.
Oh, like that's like an internal affair with some of these associations.
Yes,
People
yes,
try.
yes.
Oh God, yeah. See, this is why we should definitely outline why it's okay and not okay to put people up for questions so that you can't argue it. I know it's difficult, but that'd help a lot because, man, I can imagine some people in FAF doing that.
Yeah, but again, suing someone internationally is a whole lot of work. Like if someone in, let's say, the
it
United
also
States
costs-
is not happy with stuff happening in the association, then suing someone in Germany is, I don't know.
No,
Nobody would
just I mean, there
go
could be
that-
someone with a lot of money like Visionek that's playing FAF and have the money to do it and piss everyone off though. So just be careful. That could actually happen.
Yeah.
That would
You
suck.
also got to consider the legal situation. I mean, an association in Germany has specified certain, what's the word? Well, members have certain rights, and the right to ask questions at the assembly is legally specified. So we can't just put it out.
Yeah, as I said, like you can you have some privileges as a member, and that privilege is, for example, to bring topics to the annual agenda.
That's why we probably want to be able to exclude people, because if there's somebody shouting "dig, dig, dig" in the member assembly, that's kind of pretty annoying, and we need to let him do it, right? Because he's a member, and we cannot exclude him. And I think that's also why it stays and other important, right? Because I don't know. What was the sentence? If you cross out the other important things, are you able to exclude somebody that shouts "dig, dig, dig" in the General Assembly all over? I'm not sure, right? So
Well, we can just do it differently. We can just, I don't know, not have everyone talk at the same time, but one is able to hand out speak permissions, and that way nobody can intercept.
We're doing pretty good with it right now, I have to say.
I don't know. I mean,
Well, the channel is not open.
we can.
There's 12 people in here though. Somebody could unmute and just go blah 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 for like a second right away.
Yeah, but
Or they're
it's
just not
still
listening
mute.
to us. Mazer.
Okay, I think maybe we should kind of.
Excuse me?
I'm just checking to see if you're there. I was just joking. Sorry.
Maybe you should. I don't know if we maybe want to close this kind of here. I think I'm still not sure what we decided on really, but I think everybody is kind of happy, and well, we if I sum up, we maybe want to change the exclusion to be harder. On the other hand, it's also we also need to be able to exclude people because they have certain rights, for example, speak and ask stupid questions in assembly, and if they really, I don't know, if people, I don't know, just ask questions like, I don't know, some 12-year-old that likes to, I don't know, shout dick in the General Assembly, and we need to let him do it, we kind of want some way maybe to exclude him, right?
What is that? Oh, actually, that's an interesting question. The text there, you say someone of full age can be in the association membership. Is that 18 in Germany? 16? I don't know what the.
Does it say it in the association rule?
Yes, it does, and it's 18.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
yeah,
whatever,
that's even still kind of young to me. But then again, it's like a lot of FAF is most young people, anyways. But that's just me. So I think what Gio said, I don't know where he went, but maybe defining things a little bit better where you can just talk about that. Brutus, I appreciate taking the time to understand the analogies I'm using so we can discuss that. It'd be kind of cool to see that and just understand what's going on. You've put me at a lot more ease comparing this to like a university sports club for me than ever previous before.
Yeah. What about the members? I think we are kind of almost all happy with what it is right now, that you can deny members from joining if there's reasonable questioning on their identity, right?
I've been hoping that the application, when I see it from Brutus, that there's enough on there that shows you where, like, if somebody fills out that information, they're willing to give that up, and you can find out, like, I mean, I don't know if you guys are going to do a background check on these people, make sure they're not involved in illegal activities or something, but
well, we don't really
we don't have the power to do.
Yeah, we can't, and we wouldn't be allowed to anyway.
And we don't care because only members, right? They only cast votes. They are not. Yeah. They don't have any responsibility in here, right? They're not.
Technically, you can sit in jail and play FF. I wouldn't care. Like, it doesn't have anything to do with the stuff we're doing.
Yeah, I think people surrendering their private, well, not surrendering, but giving out their private information is enough motivation to say, hey, you need to be serious. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, we could do that with the post application I suggested. Maybe that's, I don't know. That's why I suggested just make the application via letters, so people need to actually care to enter. But
criminals can also write letters. That doesn't stop any.
But I don't mind any criminal joining because
as long as they write letters.
You can do it the other way around. You could say you apply online and you get a confirmation letter. But as I said, if we are going international, I don't know how expensive it is.
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah, someone could actually make us spend a lot of money sending letters with that.
Yeah, I kind of thought they send us, they print out, I mean, we are gonna supply some application, Morax, right? Maybe a form that you're supposed to fill out, but we don't wanna pin 100%. That. We don't wanna pin that form in this associations rule if we do a form, because then that's fixed and we need to run there to the registry and change it if we want to change the registration form. We just leave it pretty open so we can actually kind of change it and be flexible, right? So we don't want to write there how the application is gonna look like. I mean, sure, we need to somehow publicly state how the application is gonna be and stuff, right? But we are not gonna write how it's gonna be done in there because we wanna decide our own, let it be open, you know, like we just wanna be flexible, you know, on how the form looks like, on how we do it. If we do it per mail or per email, right? Maybe even that. Maybe. I mean, we can also Brutus. We can also write.
Just
it's
can I intercept first?
Yeah.
How do we want to found the association? Like we discussed a little bit at the beginning that right now it's a kind of a terrible time to found an association because meeting up is kind of hard. Is there a way to do this without being in person available?
In theory, yes. You could hold that conference via video call and gather the signatures via letter, but we need the signatures of this at least 7 founding members
Can
on
I
signed paper.
sign digitally? I mean, does it have to be a
No.
fucking letter?
No, it's Germany.
Really?
You can't do anything digitally here.
Wow.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Brutus, are you going to be one of the founding members?
Yes, of course.
Is that going to be too much workload for you on top of being council and everything? Like that's the one thing I also haven't asked. I mean, I still have other questions filling my head. I'll probably think of 1,000 more when I leave this. But like, how are we gonna say? Like, I think I've seen some people take on so much responsibility it drives them crazy, or it becomes clear they can't focus on everything. Is like, there any concerns about that? Like, I know they're saying they don't have to do much but vote, but I think everyone should be due diligent and do their reading and stuff and understand what they're voting on beforehand. So it might be overwhelming for some.
I think the initial effort isn't that big, and once you got it founded, you can stretch out the work a little bit. But yeah, it's all. I mean, if we're all friends here, there won't be that much of a problem, because then we can have each other on short call. But regarding my time investment, yeah, I'm currently thinking of ways on reducing my FAF workload in relations to my current counselor or a server administration position. That would give me some free time on the other topic, because it doesn't require me for 4 hours on debugging some shit in the API, like I did yesterday. So that's looking at the overall time I spent for FAF, this would be a very small portion.
Okay, yeah, I mean, you know what you're doing better than I right now, but like I wouldn't even like dare try to do it because I have trouble even doing my responsibilities for what I do. But that's all. It was just more like, hey, you sure you're doing this right? So that's good.
There were people saying, yeah, I want to suggest a different form of legal entity in my country, and as I said, due to Corona, we're probably not doing that early. So if somebody has a better proposition, it's fine. But then I won't do it. I could do this in Germany, but I won't do this in any other country.
Okay.
And we didn't really hear any this is going for 1 year, and we didn't actually have any concrete. With concrete, I don't mean just saying like we're gonna do whatever, but like, for example, like such an association's rule and stuff like that written out. And so nobody really suggested anything in the past year, so I don't know. And of course, then
it's
you
tough
need
to get people to be serious about it. I gotta get going, unfortunately, but thank you for doing this. Hopefully we'll have a couple more and everything, and good luck. I hope everybody's not too affected by this. Their friends and family are all right, and it's just oof.
Okay, so we're probably gonna close this up here. Yeah, we can also discuss about it further on Zulip. We can even make a channel for it, maybe, I don't know. But I mean, as it turns out, everybody's kind of happy with it. There are some minor things, for example, on the exclusion with becoming members, the way it is now. Everybody seems to be kind of happy now. What else was there? Not really anything, right? I mean, this application per post or per email, but we can actually also leave it open and say, well, the first chairman decides on what he wants. That way we can still respond to whatever is happening. If we feel like too many people that don't care join, we just switch to post, and as long as it all goes well, we stay with email.
I have another question, if I may.
Yeah.
That would be, what happens to code and content if the association is liquidated at some point?
Code doesn't belong to anybody. It's open source and has a free license. The association only owns the server and the domain, and kind of the mods and maps. Well, it doesn't really own it, but I don't know.
Maps and mods is a very complicated topic, because basically there is no agreement or no no terms of service or anything you sign when you upload a mod. So basically, it implies that you give the permissions to FAF, but actually you don't. And
but it really, I mean, apart from maps and mods, which is complicated because they kind of still belong to the people they uploaded, so they kind of don't belong to anybody. I mean, to the players, right? Apart from that, the association only owns domain and the server. Right now it's the LLC, and maybe someday, if that ever happens, there's a plan, then that should be owned by the registered association, by the code and everything else that's open source, right? Everybody can go fork it and make their own FAF. But
well, basically, but it's the stuff that Geo posted in the chat, name, data, user data, the vault contents, and I agree that for code it's not that big of a problem because of the licensing that is existing, but the other stuff, I mean, I think I would prefer it if it were specified how or what happens to this data if the association ever is liquidated or transferred or whatever.
Yeah, I think that's the thing we want to achieve here, that it's not needed. The liquidate...
I mean, there's a concrete answer to your question in the Constitution, which says all the assets basically go over to the German esports Bund. It's an association for basically for e-gaming, esports, but they won't do anything with. They would be interested in the money, but they wouldn't be interested in the assets. But like, I mean, you can make a proposal, but what we cannot do is we cannot make it publicly available because it's user protected data, mostly user accounts and emails. And as I said, maps and mods don't really belong to FAF anyway.
Makes sense, but then it could be specified that all data is being deleted. That would be another way to say user data is not kept or resold, or I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's clear.
Yeah, we could do that. Yeah, makes sense.
But that can't happen anyway. I'm pretty sure. I mean, because in the terms of service, it says, well, you can't. It doesn't say we can sell them to third parties. So,
that's we are not law experts. We don't know what we actually can do. So I'm in favor of writing down that be deleted in the case.
It can't hurt. Yeah, but I don't think that actually there's user data. If like the esports Bund gets the asset, I don't think they could actually get the user data because of terms.
Yeah.
I don't know. We can write it there.
Also,
sure.
Basically, it's not like we contacted them and told them, hey, we're writing that down in our constitution. Basically, it just means if you liquidate the association, you just have to put the money on your bank account somewhere, and you're not allowed to put it on your own, which is the important part. So we decided to give it to some other non-profit organization.
Makes sense. Although only the English translation says assets, which may contain other stuff. The German version just says Vermögen, which just means the money.
Yeah.
No. But yeah.
Well, I don't know. It really depends. I mean, we can write it down there that personal data is going to be deleted. But yeah. On the other hand, we don't want to liquidate it anyway. But well, it might still happen. But
of course you don't. But I think Visionik also didn't plan on liquidating it when he founded it.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I gotta get going, but be well, stay safe and healthy, and hope everybody stays good. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
But Visionix is a LLC, so he probably just takes it himself. I don't know. It doesn't. So,
True.
I don't know. Yeah. Whatever. Yeah. The nice thing about this this registered association is probably don't need to liquidate it to transfer it to something else because. Well, just somebody else can take over, right? But yeah, you're right. We're just gonna write it down. I mean, it's not gonna hurt, right? So, yeah.
And in the same spirit, it might be good to also ask uploaders of mods and maps for providing the rights to you that you may use these maps and mods.
some people don't want this.
Yeah, that's a topic completely unrelated to the association thingy. We were thinking about this, like adding an option to select one of multiple licenses, like Creative Commons or something like that. But yeah, as Alex said, we talked to some key contributors of the mod vault, and they said they don't want this. And yeah, so I asked what happens if you get hit by a bus, and then they say, yeah, but then it's not my problem anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
well,
it's
they could still have the
complicated.
option that they don't want anyone else to have power over their uploads. So that
Yeah,
could be one of the options.
I mean, I see this point. I mean, we're currently banning mod uploaders because they violate the mod rules.
We haven't banned anyone for that yet.
I think we did one, but yeah. But again,
no, we banned someone for uploading cheat mods, but that has always been.
But yeah, it would make sense to give the people the ability to express what they would like to happen, and then we can make moderation actions based on that, so we don't have to contact these authors every time, because some of them or many of them are long gone, or we don't even know who the original author was. It's also a big issue.
Yeah, I mean, and it doesn't really solve all the things we have, right? I don't know.
Yeah, but we can make a better definition of legal terms for the future.
Yeah, but as I said, what we cannot do is we cannot force uploader to give a free sharing license, because many mod authors don't want that, and then they would stop uploading.
Well,
So
yes,
we
that's
need to
why
give them credit for that.
we can have options.
Yeah.
Like the default would be that they give permissions or accept the common creations license or whatever. And if they don't want that, then they have to read stuff and click the right button.
Yeah.
Well,
we can absolutely force them, but I don't know if this should be discussed right now.
Well, yeah, but we don't want to, because that would hurt someone's feelings, and then they would leave, and that would be a loss.
On the other hand, maybe I think most people don't care. It's right.
Well, the mod authors do care. We asked them.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they say, but once it comes, there's probably still gonna
No. Well, some of them, yes. Some. It's a question of communication. If you convince some people, some of them will say, "Okay, yeah, you're right. Let's do this," and some others will definitely say no, and it's just okay. I can live with that.
Yeah, well, we can make just a pretty hidden button. Probably nobody.
No, it's not about going like cheating around them. What's the point of this? So it's just
like by default provide it, and then have a drop down, and then they make a checkbox, and they can opt out. I don't know, something like that. Then 99% are gonna provide the open source stuff, and the ones that don't want to.
We can just have like 2 or 3 predefined options, and like a 4th one with I provide my own license, whatever, and then they just have to have it in a text file inside the mod or whatever. And if they don't have it, then they fall back to whatever the default option is.
No.
Sorry for kicking off this discussion and getting us off track. Another question for the association: how would membership dues be paid? Would this be possible by credit card internationally, or what are your ideas?
That's a very good question. So,
over the money personally.
In Germany, you have this crazy thing called a bank account, and there's a thing called direct debit transfer. What is it? So, people from living inside Europe, they can make a transfer via Swift, I think.
SEPA?
But no, you don't need Swift.
Oh, SEPA was what I was checking.
Yeah.
Yes, SEPA transfer. And I think everybody else should be able to do the same thing via PayPal to our SEPA account.
Pretty much. Assuming that works in the country of origin of the user.
But this would also mean that somebody has to check the bank account regularly to see if any new
That's what the treasurer
membership
is
fees
for.
have been.
Yeah.
Well, on the General Assembly, if you should attend it, and that you probably do if you're really interested in it, there is gonna be the membership fee set, and then it says blah 1 month after it's due. So, and you probably will be reminded via email.
That wasn't the question. Yeah. So yes, you need somebody to check that bank account regularly, and in you have this treasurer position who's exactly doing that, and usually also that is the guy who is responsible for new applications, because then he needs to check if the money is coming in. And in bigger associations, you also usually have 2 people auditing the treasurer. But we didn't include these roles because we seem to be starting with a very small association. But it's like it's a best practice that you also have auditors on this treasurer if you get bigger.
Okay, but I'm asking because I think the administrative effort is not to be underestimated, and I'm just trying to find out if there are ways to minimize that.
Well, I can tell you that I'm an auditor for an association with around about 100 members. Yeah, it's effort, but it's
not that bad.
It's a few hours a month.
Good. Okay. Then another suggestion: terminating a membership should be possible online or by email as well. I think that's currently not specified like this.
Yeah, okay. Termination via email.
Or the same way that the subscription is.
On the other hand, if you you don't really need to terminate anyway, because if you don't pay, it terminates automatically, right?
Oh, but
no, I mean it's a nice way of doing it. Yes.
So it's probably better.
Cover it. Yes.
Way.
Yeah, usually it's the same process as the application itself. You write a letter to your treasurer or to any of the board members, and then it goes into effect at the end of the period. I think the constitution states you stay in the association until the end of the year. We could also say it's immediately. I don't care.
I think the most people that leave the association, why bother writing an email or a letter to just not give the money away? You will be
because maybe you want to express why you're leaving.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Because it's the nice way of doing it.
Yes.
Just being silent and leaving that way is kind of rude.
Yeah, and also the treasurer would try to contact that person and ask him to pay and stuff like that, so it would minimize effort.
Okay, well, okay, this is okay. I wrote it down. So termination by email. That completely makes sense. Then, well, I'm not sure. It doesn't state how it's done, right? So we just write it's possible via email. I don't know. Should be possible.
It currently says that it's only possible by postal letter.
Okay, yeah.
So that's...
Yeah, I think that was my attempt to make it hard for every action, so we get minimal effort. But okay, on the other hand, you may be right. It's maybe even easier for us if people terminate and write an email. Yeah, because then we don't have to remind them to pay and stuff. Yeah.
As a last suggestion, a board of 2 people is quite small.
Yes, true to state it. We are quite small, and we don't.
We can make it 3. The question is, do you have enough volunteers for that position? And the most horrible situation is that you found an association and can't seat all positions.
I've seen that other German associations solve this problem by specifying that 3 to 6 people can be on the board. So this wouldn't have to be a fixed number. It could be a range.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
We can check on that.
But yeah, that's basically everything from my side. Thank you.
You can also, I think you can make comments on both documents. Zwieback. Like
I'll probably have to be signed in, but yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Nah, you can. I think you can make comments with an anonymous account.
Yeah, I think you can. I think I'm not sure how you do it. I think you need to. Well, maybe you're gonna find out, or maybe you're gonna show you whatever. You can make all these comments you made now. You can also make on the line where it is. Just make a comment, and we can discuss in the comment on the document. Okay. Well, we're probably just gonna close this then now. I think this was kind of successful, right? And we are hoping we can found this association soon. And well, it's gonna take ages anyway till it gets the assets transferred ever or whatever. But yeah.
Yeah, we might wait until the world has stopped burning.
Yeah, maybe that. On the other hand, now we have time.
I have to work like every day.
Oh, so sad. You should have had a job where you can't do home office, or maybe not, because then you get unemployed.
Yeah, I still get paid. That's a nice thing.
Yeah, whatever. Okay,